Hi, I'm Angela Simonson with George Washington Speaks. We had the opportunity to visit the Northwest Colonial Reenactors Association. Here's an interview that I had with Steve and Tricia Barton. Tell me about this weekend. What are you guys doing here? What does the weekend look like?
Well, we came in earliest. We were here on Tuesday. Tricia's has typically organized this event for years and years, and she's one of the originals. So in case there were any bumps in the road, we felt we could come in a little early and kind of get things going, do the sandy cans and check the ground and get a good spot and all that. So for the first day was just us. First night and day, which was really nice to get that quiet time and set up the camp.
And how about today? What's up for today's schedule?
Well, earlier today I taught a class, little seminars, and that's one of the things that we really like to do out here is share our knowledge with each other. And so today one of our little knowledge shares was making what we call death head buttons. And so that was my seminar that I put on for. So we had a little class and everybody got to make a button, and like I said, that's one of our things out here is we just like to learn from each other. That's part of this experience, and why the CE was really set up was for us to be able to share our knowledge with each other in a setting like this. I mean, we like living history. And that's what we're doing, is we are living history. A lot of people are presentators and you need that and everything else, but for us, we just like to live it and try to live the experience and the different crafts that are involved in living this. And it's amazing, and there's so many different aspects of history that you can learn and can educate and that can help you with. It's even from the different cooking to, like I said, making the buttons, sewing. We've had calligraphy classes. That's just part of our day out here, an average day. We play together and share knowledge.
How often do you get together and how many people do that?
This is our main event of the year, so this is the big event. But we try to get together several times a year as we can. It's just after COVID, it's been very hard because we were very restricted. We were just kind of growing at that time, and we were starting to get some more events, and then all of a sudden, we need to calm down now. So we're starting to pick things back up. So I know we have probably about 3 events planned for just this next year, but we also go to other events that are historical events where we get to see each other and other people at too. So
are those public events?
Some are and some are not.
There's different kind of levels of how this works. Okay. When you're such a serious student of living history, and there's living history, there's reenacting, which is reenacting actual historical events. So that's a little more rigid group on what the expectation, the uniforms, and how things happened when they happened. Where we're kind of at is 20 years ago, 40 years ago, and now I guess they called it buckskinning. Now it's kind of morphed into living history, and now they call it trekking, covering ground with period equipment, and staying out in the woods for a week or so at a time. We'll go on a winter snowshoe trek with just period correct equipment, wool blankets, tarp, and toboggan, and flint and steel, and what we need in our muzzle loaders. And we'll go in for a week and just stay in that climate, working through those issues of a winter
so
camp.
That's more of a full immersion event. And so on one of those, we actually have it to where it's an invite only. Your equipment and your gear is actually checked to make sure that everything you have what you would have had back then. It has to be correct. And if one of the members of them can question what you're bringing in, and you can either be called out and say, oh yeah, that wasn't right, or you can show the documentation to them and prove, oh no, they would have had that. And so it's kind of a fun little challenge to do with each other. So of course those, like I said, are only invite, but then we also have other events
And
where
that-
it is open to the public, where people can kind of go in and see, and little traders and stuff like that. But what we like to do is more of the full immersion events.
Yeah. So you're, like for instance, what Tricia was talking about, can you back that up? So I had a blue enamel teapot, and that enamel was considered too late for the period. This was Hudson Bay Company. This timeline is a little different from the Colonial. It's a little later on. Hudson Bay Company was definitely active during the Colonial period.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of Colonial reenactors up in Canada that follow that quite closely. And there was a blue enameled teapot on a ship that went down at the mouth of the Columbia in a whaleboat, and it made it into the ship's manifest as how a terrible day that was, because they really cherished that enamel teapot. So the guys jumped me, hey, that enamel doesn't go, and out came the manifest from the ship, and blue enamel
There's
teapot.
nothing more fun than proving them wrong. There's also another one where they didn't have honeybees out on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And so they were saying that we couldn't have beeswax candles, that they were supposed to be tallow candles. Well, then there was another shipwreck
On the Oregon coast.
on the Oregon coast where it was bundles of beeswax was lost. And in fact, they still have found
It still comes on the beach
beeswax
today.
on the beach today. So there was beeswax over at this time. But like I said, it's
And
one of the...
there was enough of it
Yeah.
that people were carting it up and selling it to the forts. So it wasn't a little quantity, it was a lot. That was the whole ship's manifest, was beeswax.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you have kind of the common knowledge that's taught in schools, and then you have all these little mysteries that we're still discovering, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, totally.
And that's part of the fun of it. This is a hobby that you can continuously learn. It's always an education. There's always something to learn about. There's from all different aspects.
Yeah,
and so
food-
that's why it just...
Food preparation, pickling, storing in lard, all those pemmican jerky, all that stuff. There's all different levels depending on your infrastructure, how you want to preserve your foods. Nowadays, of course, we have freeze-dried and freezers and refrigerators and all. But before then, people that were here before us had those skills. Like Tricia's, wasn't too long ago, I think Tricia's grandmother, they'd had butchered a cow, and the way they laid it up is they also butchered a hog and rendered the fat to preserve the beef. And then a milk cow, they'd work, and it's hard work. And if you've never done it, and I have, it's really hard work. And then we're done. And then another cow slipped and broke its leg, so they had to do it all over again. And the girls were just unconsolable. They cried and wept because they knew they were going to have to work like demons to get this meat preserved, because they didn't want it to go to waste.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me about how long you've been doing this and what has changed from the beginning to today for you.
Well, I'll go quick because my story's a little shorter. I started not in historical reenacting, but I grew up in Northern California in the Klamath National Forest. So I was always in the woods. That was my playground. It was, just my mom would just let me go, and we'd just go for days at a time from a young age. And then I had a history teacher that brought in a mountain man reenactor in 8th grade, and everything just clicked. I said, that guy's doing it with minimal gear. I don't have to buy anything because we didn't have any money, and So I started to learn that way. Took a break in the military, got sent up here, and got in with Tricia's father, and met all this huge reenacting, primitive muzzleloading world that's in Northwest Washington, and then, so 40 years for me doing this, just the historical reenacting or primitive muzzleloading piece, but before that, just grew up in the sticks. Just an old mountain kid. So.
Yeah, well, and I was basically born into history and reenacting. My father got into black powder muzzleloading rifles when he was just even a teenager. And so by the time I got around, he was starting to build rifles. And when I was about 5 years old, we went to our first black powder mountain man rendezvous. And so I basically have been doing this type of camping since I didn't know any other camping. In fact, I just now have gotten modern camp gear.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a strange thing for me.
We discovered Amazon and YouTube, and
yeah.
What?
So, yeah, and modern camp gear is just wild. But anyway, so I grew into this. My father was very big into the developing of the Pacific Primitive Rendezvous. Is one of the biggest rendezvous on the West Coast, doing the pre-1840 rendezvous, or the 1840 period. And I've always loved it. I liked the costuming, the sewing, the history, and just camping this way. And also when my family was young, it was the best place to go camping with your children. It was the safest, you could let your kids run all over the camp. You didn't worry about them because there was almost a parent in every single camp over there, especially for a woman by myself with 2 kids. I was kind of a single mother at that point. But after a while, it was kind of funny because during that period, and my dad was so well known, it was almost a little too easy. I was always his daughter. And I started learning about the Colonial group, and I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. Oh, and that's a little bit earlier, and I can go in there and I can kind of establish my own name in this organization. They don't know my father. I can be me. And so, yeah, so I got involved in this group and helped, was on every board position for quite a few years, and yeah, I helped develop this out here, and it's my happy place. I love it. The people out here, and they are family.
Yeah. So tell me the timeline of when you met. Were you already doing this, and then he?
So.
Do you want me to? Or?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. So I grew up on Whidbey Island, and he was in the Navy and was stationed on Whidbey Island. My dad had put an advertisement in one of the little gazettes on the base about that he would help build black powder rifles. Well, he had gotten a kit from his uncle, and so he basically went over to my dad's house and went and built this rifle. Well, we were both married to other people at that time, but became really good friends, and he was really close to my dad. And so years and years and years go by, and then we were at a totally different place in our life, and yeah, best friends. And my father would throw for his birthday an immersion pack-in little trekking out in the potholes over in eastern Washington, and so he was always invited out to that too. And after a couple of years, then it just kind of clicked, and here we are.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, he was the happiest father ever when we got together. It was like, oh my God.
Well, what's if you had a message or a goal that you'd like others to know about what you're doing? What's kind of the important part for you?
As far as I would to try to explain this crazy different alternative lifestyle that we're living, or well, I'll just come on in. It's great fun. Get up next to the people that aren't basically trying to tell you how to do or what to do or why to do, but observe the people that are just letting you figure it out. And if you have questions, they're there for you. Those are typically the guys that you want to gravitate toward, because they're a little more even-handed as far as, well, you have that option. You could go down that path. Here's another one you might want to try. But the people that kind of just get into your business and start telling you what's correct and what's not, those are typically not the folks you don't want to do a primitive with, or because you can have issues, you can have mechanicals, you can things don't always go well, and you kind of want those fellows that are going to let you be you, but are there for you in the same vein as well,
Anything for you?
Just if you do have a love of history, or just a thirst for knowledge, this is the best place to be. It's just, we come out here, we laugh, we talk. We're not worried about the politics of the world now. We're worried talking about the past. And there's been times where I've been out doing one of these events for almost a week, and it's almost hard to go back to the real world. It's so relaxing and so peaceful. You sleep better out here. The food tastes better. Everything is just.
it's hard, yeah.
It's the best, Yeah, it's great going out and doing the modern camping and stuff, but this is the way to go. This is true glamping here.
Yeah.
So is it really separated for you, or how do you integrate a weekend like this into your real life, or maybe it doesn't fit at all?
Well, weekend. This is just we've been doing it for so long, and it's hard work. The more you do it, the easier it is. The organizing and the movement becomes more natural. At first, it's kind of like it's just exhausting to try and get this figured out the first couple of goes, right? But the spillover into our life is if you're I have such a deep military background, and it was all a lot of hardship, a lot of long hours, so that makes you a Western term is hard. It makes you hard. You can stand up to it. You can go that extra mile. You can stay asleep longer. You're on your game longer, and that's the same thing buckskinning can do for you. It can make you hard. If you're willing to put yourself out there and suffer a little bit, because snowshoe camping is your body does different things. Like after a week being in 30 degrees with a couple wool blankets and a fire, you want to start a fire that's flint and steel. You want coffee, you got to gather wood and tinder, so you burn a lot of calories, and your body adapts to being in that temperature and that climate, and your metabolism comes up, and so that changes you when you come back. Like I don't want to be indoors when I go back to work, and I have now a desk job, right? Because it's just so warm inside, because your metabolism just goes through the roof. But so it does improve. It helps you in your civilized life, I think. Gives you an edge.
Well, and you really, truly appreciate certain things when you come home, too. It's like running water in a flushing toilet and a shower is really nice. But for us, I've always loved history and everything else. And part of most of our house is decorated with everything that we have out here anyway, so it's just like basically.
Right now the walls are
I
bare.
shop through the house before I go here, and so it's almost like bringing some of my home just comes with me, and and our neighbors think we're nuts, but that's okay. You know, it is. It's okay. You know, we're setting up tents in the yard just to check it out and stuff, and okay.
Who are you portraying?
Okay, second generation Scottish immigrant. So my father came over, and so I still have a lot of the family knowledge, and I still have a lot of the kit that my father gave to me. So, and I've pressed farther into the middle ground of the country, but still moved back over the mountains to see kit and kin as I go about our daily life of trapping and deer hunting.
Okay.
And of course, I'm just his immigrant bride that follows him across the country. Also a Scottish immigrant as well. And that is
Our latest kill.
Yeah, that is Mongo. Mongo Silverado de Magnifico. Yes, our faithful companion.
Does he have a role in this as well?
Other than being our child, our hairy child, that's his role. He just goes with us everywhere.
So the pugs were a present to royalty, typically. So they would go to people of higher station in Europe and England. You would see them even.
Well, I appreciate you guys chatting with me. Do you want to close with a favorite memory or some sort of special treasure that you just enjoy about this process, this journey you've had?
Just that I've made so many cherished, sweet friends along this way that part of this journey is what's irreplaceable. I mean, it's been the best part.
I would say you'll never be good enough to start. You'll never have it right enough to start, and so you're just going to have to just do it, and you don't have to do it with the right perfect people either. We're all broken. We all have our stuff, but if you're willing to try, it's very rewarding. You should try, and it probably won't go well. But what's adventure really but inconvenience?
That's really good.
So try. Get up with some people that want to try and just get after it.